Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and as you can tell, we're going to be doing a fight prediction against Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, the much anticipated YouTube boxing fight between these two geezers. Now, how can I put this? Jake Paul's been under a lot of stick of recent about his opponents and stuff like that, about how, they haven't really been the best of opponents for him and he's having an easy ride, all this good stuff. So today we're going to go through all you need to know, dates, stats, and more. Okay, so basically, Jake Paul, American YouTube sensation, will take on Tyron Woodley in his next bout. This would be his fourth bout, I believe. So while the fight apparently felt it would happen after Woodley had called out Paul back in April, and that at the time he wanted to fight a YouTuber in MMA. However, he has now agreed to take the fight at boxing ring, which has attracted more of the eyeballs. So credit where due for Tyron Woodley. Okay, he's decided to step away from the MMA side of things and step into the boxing ring, which you've got to give credit for, because it's a completely different field for Tyron Woodley. I mean, stepping in the boxing ring, although he has got fight and combat experience, he was a world champion. It's not going to be an easy transition, okay, even though he is devastating. But Woodley, although he hasn't been in best form of recent. Okay, he's lost his last four fights in MMA. Paul has won his first three professional boxing bouts, so there's a bit of, he's Paul, although he's only had three fights, he is on a roll at the moment. But however, the quality of Paul's opponents is, like we said, is questionable. Okay, but he got to fight somewhere. If he was an amateur, he'd be fighting, very inexperienced people, and he'd definitely be blasting them out, because he is quite decent. But irrespective of what pans out, is likely to become an entertaining spectacle, and the fans could get to look at them seeing each other for the first time. The fight was agreed upon. Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather met before the fight, so it was all kind of done before Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fought. So that's a good thing. Whereas Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley fight, the fight is said to take place at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I believe that's in Jake Paul's hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. And it's the home of, I believe, the NFL team there, the Cavaliers, if I've gotten that right. And it's going to take place on August 30th. And it is scheduled on a Sunday night in the United States, which makes it Monday for fans in India, if you want to use that as a comparison. We've got loads of people who follow us from India, but yeah, just for time zones and stuff like that. So I don't know what time that will make it for us in Great Britain, but we'll be watching it nonetheless. Who's fighting on that day then? A few of these names I don't know, a few of them I do know. We've actually got quite a decent boxing card on this, guys. So Ivan Bernich, I can't pronounce that properly, versus Montana Love. Never heard of them. Daniel Dubois, he's our very own British heavyweight. He's a fantastic prospect, this lad. He's fighting Cosimano. I'm not sure who that is, but he's been fighting quite good guys, this Daniel Dubois, so looking forward to that. Tommy Fury, we all know who Tommy Fury is by now. I think Jake Paul will end up fighting Tommy Fury at some point in his life, all right, at some point in their careers. Depending on how well Tommy Fury does against Anthony Taylor. He's got a lot of potential, Tommy Fury, especially that his missus is a YouTube influencer. She's quite a successful person, so it wouldn't surprise me if they're not going to go down the YouTube professional route anyway, because I think that's the route for him. Professional boxing is dead in many ways, and YouTube probably is the best place to go about it now. And I think Tommy Fury's thinking above his professional career now and trying to get amongst the YouTube scene and fighting the likes of Jake Paul. I think it's a good move. The above-mentioned fights are lined up on this day along with the main event, which is Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. Amanda Serrano and Mercado is the co-main event. Stats, so Jake Paul, what we're looking at, he's had a total of 3 fights, record 3-0. He's from America. He's only 24 years old, so he's got age on his side, and in boxing, age is everything, okay? He's 6'1", reach at 76 inches, so he's in shape, all right? 6'1", he's got height. He's I think he's a cruiserweight, I believe, or light heavy, so good height for that weight, and he'll be quite hard to fight for Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley is a lot smaller than him. He's about my height, which makes all the difference, all right? It depends on your fighting style, but Tyron Woodley is a bit older than him. We'll get to his stats now. He's had a total of 27 fights. Record is 19-7-1. good record. Not excellent, but it's a good record. All right. Nationality, he's American as well. Age 39. He's 5'9" tall. Tyron Woodley's fighting style won't be too difficult. It won't be too difficult for him to get inside of Jake Paul. I think he's an aggressive type of fighter, but you got to be careful of Paul's right hand. It's as simple as that. He has got hands on him, and this guy can punch. Both of these guys can punch, so it'll be very volatile. His reach is 74 inches, so he's got a smaller reach. So, yeah, he's got a disadvantage in reach, disadvantage in height. Although, if you're looking at Mike Tyson and his fighting style, his advantage was his height. So, his advantage is he's experienced, but not experienced in boxing. Yeah, he can put hands together, but he can do it in a mixed martial arts sense. And I don't think there's a mixed martial artist on the planet who can. Look, let's face it, the best MMA fighter on the planet and the best boxer on the planet. The boxer will have the better hands, and you know it's without doubt the MMA fighter will have a better all-round fighting capacity. All right, it's just as simple as that. It's the way it goes. So the fight is definitely going to be a high voltage and highly anticipated event. The fans of both the fighters wanting to see their favourite fighter come out on top of the other. There will be a few verbal exchanges and big statements which will be made ahead of the bout. But as often seen in the boxing ring, these things account for really nothing. And the one thing who wins the bout, inevitably, will have the last laugh. So here's my take on it, guys. Who is going to have the last laugh? Think of it logically. 39-year-old Tyron Woodley, who's, you know, coming off the back of 4 defeats. Is he really going to make it in boxing? My answer, short and sweet, is no. How do you expect to come from a fantastic combat sport, MMA, where boxing isn't really the highlight of it? It's not really something that you have to be exceptional at. You can be good at it, but, you know, Jake Paul's last fight, who he fought, he wasn't an exceptional boxer. He was like a world-class world champion. So you don't need to be world-class in boxing to be a world-class MMA fighter. But he's going to have to be somewhat overclass, I would say. You know, if he's fighting Jake Paul, as much as I hate Jake Paul is good. He's been trained by world-class people, and I think he could mix it up there with some of the world-class elite, but not all of them. And I say that candidly. I do think Jake Paul is quite good, all right, and I've went back on myself a little bit, so I do think Jake Paul is quite good, and I can see it only going one way. I think Jake Paul knocks him out, and I'm going to go in and around 4 rounds. You've heard it here first. It's going to go a little bit further than the other ones because, you know, Woodley is durable, but I don't see him mixing it up with the likes of Jake Paul at all. I think he's 39 years old. Age always beats, you know, is a deciding factor in boxing. I don't think his boxing skill set from MMA is going to be able to translate over into the real boxing ring as well as people think. I don't think he's going to be able to be as effective as Jake Paul. Jake Paul comes across as an inexperienced individual, but I know for a fact the amount of money he has, the amount of influence he has in the boxing circuit, all right, the amount of money that he's generating for boxing in general, especially on the YouTube scene, this man doesn't lose, all right? You can look at it from a professional standpoint, and you can also look at it from a business standpoint. Business-wise, this guy doesn't lose. Professionally, who do they want to win? Well, they want the money guy to win, and the money guy will win, all right? Jake Paul will not lose this fight. You've heard it here first. He will not lose this fight. He will knock Tyron Woodley out. That's just my predictions. How can he lose this early on into his YouTube venture when there's literally millions being generated by him? Will we miss Tyron Woodley? He's been beaten the past 4 fights, so no one's going to care for another loss against someone like Jake Paul. Is it going to be detrimental to YouTube boxing if Jake Paul loses? It's going to be more detrimental than if it was the other way around, trust me. So I just don't see a way around him being beat. I just don't see it. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you do see it, then drop me a comment. Let's have a conversation. Who wins this fight? Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley? Hands down Jake Paul. Okay, hands down Jake Paul. If it wasn't down to politics and it wasn't down to age, if they were on a level playing field in terms of age, yeah, Jake Paul probably gets knocked out. But Jake Paul isn't fighting a young Tyron Woodley. He's fighting a 39-year-old Tyron Woodley, and that's the way boxing goes. You can never have the perfect matchup. There's always going to be something. It's give and take. It's top trumps of boxing. So that's my fight predictions, guys. I think it doesn't go past 4 rounds. I think Jake Paul knocks a durable Tyron Woodley out in the 4th round. Tyron Woodley lands a good few shots on him, and Jake Paul's tested to a degree, but I don't think Tyron Woodley's going to be pushing him that much. All right, I think there's going to be plenty of money in his back pocket to take whatever's coming his way. But that's just my predictions, guy. And who am I? I'm just a fan watching out. All right. But yeah, if you did like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to drop a comment below what you think, let me know below, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.